What's up everyone? Linden up. Oh my god, I've got to lock my door. That takes care of that. I feel like first of all I owe you all an explanation as to where I've been, because I know I've taken a big break from YouTube, probably about 7-8 months at this point. Truth be told, I don't exactly know. I know it's been a while though, probably since August, so yeah, coming up on 8 months, close to 7 I think from memory. Anyway, where have I been? One word, university. Architecture is not an easy course, but I'm really enjoying myself. I'm coming up with some really great projects and I'm engaging in my passion. So that's something really good. But something I'd realised quite recently is that, well, I was looking back at my old videos really, and I realised that one of my oldest was a video I made on autism, on my Asperger's syndrome. So, and I kind of realised that it's sort of coming up on April, sort of Autism Awareness Month, and we're just at the business end of Autism Acceptance Week. So I kind of realised that Autism Acceptance Week is aging fast, and so is my old video on autism, so I thought I would make a new one. And the last one, it was very scripted. I'm not gonna lie to you, I had to think a lot about what I was gonna say, but I feel like a nice way to approach it this time would be to just say what I think, really. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do for you guys. So first of all, I think I owe you an explanation on sort of the background of why I'm doing a video like this. Simply put, I am autistic. To be more specific, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome in, I believe, 2007. I know it was 2008, because I was 5 years old at the time, and I was born in December 2002. Yeah, I feel old. So, yeah. I've had Asperger's syndrome for quite a while, since I was born, kind of thing. But that's when I was diagnosed, 2008, and it's a condition I've grown up with. It's I've grown up trying to sort of understand the world I live in, kind of thing. Because that's ultimately what autism is. It's a condition. It's a mental condition that sort of means we interact with the world differently. There's a common explanation that our brains are wired differently, and while I don't know if it's anatomically accurate, there's still a lot of research to be done. It's sort of a very accurate way to sum it up, in my opinion. It's good. It's a good way to sum it up in that we see the world differently. We are sort of overwhelmed by different things, maybe more commonly. We find social situations a bit more difficult. Like, I've had to teach myself a lot about sort of how to interact with people, how to sort of exist, really, I suppose is the way to put it. So now I've sort of fixed my hair because I realised I looked an absolute mess, and now I've given you a brief rundown of what Asperger's is. I think I ought to tell you sort of how it affects me, maybe, and sort of my experience with it. So, sort of growing up, I found life quite difficult, you know. I battled with anxiety a lot as a kid, because I was sort of trying to understand the world I lived in, trying to sort of understand other people, trying to fit in, really. And I spent a lot of time really sort of trying to fit in, and sort of trying to understand just, you know, social cues, and sort of this ended up, you know, I mean, I think I'm doing an alright job these days, you know. I think I've learned a lot from just being in social situations and throwing myself in the deep end, but I'm very aware a lot of people don't have it so easy, and I really feel for them, because it's terrible not being able to understand the world and not being able to understand why people do things, why people feel a certain way, why people might behave certain ways, why certain things might happen, why people do things, so on and so forth. I could go on for hours, as academics have gone on for years and years trying to understand. I mean, I can't really wrap my head around it fully myself. So I think something I thought about how to tackle this video as well was sort of looking at what questions people might want answered about autism. So I did exactly that. I googled that exact question, and we're going to have a look at some questions that, according to aruma.com.au, people want to know about autism. So let's go. Right, so number one, why is it hard for people with autism to communicate? Well, it's a tough question because do you want the anatomical reason, which nobody knows, or like the explanation of worldview? I mean, I'll go for the worldview bit because I'm not really academically qualified to talk about the anatomical bit. So why it might be harder for us to communicate is because, put simply, understanding social situations and things like that doesn't really come natural to us. You know, over the years, I've had to really sort of look into social situations. I've had to mimic a lot. I've had to learn from what other people do, and I think that's turned out okay. So it really comes from a place of maybe not exactly understanding sort of others and how they might communicate. You know, things might seem a bit more foreign to us. A lot of the time, a lot of us will probably need things put quite literally, quite simply. You know, for example, when I was a kid, sort of orders and things like that would have to be very specific, say in school, so I'd know exactly what to do and exactly what's expected of me. And I suppose the same is still very true sort of today. I like to know exactly what I'm doing, at what specific times, and how exactly I'm going to do it. And in the context of architecture, I really find that sort of planning out a routine and stuff like that helps me, and that's common with a lot of people with autism. Routine is a big thing for us. You know, we all love routine. People can say that people with autism, you won't meet any that are the same. That's a very common sort of thing, and I can vouch for that, you know. And it's been nice to sort of have a routine at uni, and it's so nice that architecture is so sort of hands-on as a course, because it's meant that I've had a lot of time, you know, in the studio and stuff, and I've been quite regimented with when I've been in studio and sort of having that as my place of work kind of thing. So I know I've gone off on a complete tangent there, but overall, we find it harder to communicate because I suppose we view the world quite differently, and as a result we find it a lot harder to maybe, as I said before, sort of, you know why people are doing things, why people are saying things, people's exact meanings, stuff like that. So it's quite common for people with autism and Asperger's to not understand sarcasm so well, maybe, to sort of maybe take a minute to understand humour. And now that's not to say don't crack jokes with us and stuff like that, that's not to say like don't be sarcastic, you know. Ultimately, all we want is to just be treated like normal people, and at least in my case, I just want to be treated like just, you know, a normal person, because that's ultimately what I think. I mean, I'm not. I really am not. That's sort of what we want. We want to have our condition considered, obviously, but if you can treat us as normal as you can, perfect. Thanks. Right. Question 2. Does this mean you don't get irony or sarcasm? That's literally what I was just on about. We get it, yeah. It just takes a little while, like I said, and yeah, it's a case of we might not understand it as well as, say, people, sort of neurotypical people might, and I suppose it's taken me a while to get it. I know, you know, for a long time I just never knew when people were being sarcastic, and I still have trouble with that, to be honest. So yeah, that answers the question again. Question 3. Is it hard for you to make eye contact? And why? Well, I'm going to answer this more personally. I feel like that's a good way of approaching it, maybe, get an actual experience from someone with Asperger's. It's not hard for me anymore, I suppose, and note that I say anymore. As a kid I found it more difficult, because like I said, the world can be very hard for us, and you've probably heard a lot about sort of overstimulation and things like that. The world can be quite an overwhelming place for people with autism. And I know for me, sometimes it can be that way. So I suppose a result of that is, in social interaction, we have to a lot of us have to really focus on sort of the interaction bit to make sure that we're actually doing it right and we're actually understanding you. And that might, you know, also translate into us not thinking to give eye contact. And I know that it's a thoughtless task for a lot of people, but, you know, eye contact is ultimately a lot of communication. You can tell a lot from just someone's eyes, really. And I suppose part of not picking up on social cues, which is something that is common-ish in autism. I don't like to overgeneralise, but I know I still find that difficult from time to time. it does make things a bit more difficult in terms of eye contact, but I mean, I don't really have a problem with it anymore. I've somehow made it sort of natural, but it's quite common to encounter someone with, again, I hate to overgeneralise, but it's quite common to encounter someone with autism who might find making eye contact difficult because they're trying to focus on just understanding you and communicating, and they might not necessarily understand that eye contact is a big part of communication. And I mean, it's like I'm making all these gestures right now. That's a big part of communication. Right. Next question. Question 4, I believe. Can you read facial expressions? Well, this is on the same tangent as eye contact. We might not necessarily get a lot of social cues. I'm decent at reading people. I might not be the best, but you know, again, it all roots back to that understanding social cues. But if we don't understand how to socialise as effectively ourselves, and sort of, you know, see the world as this really strange and overwhelming place, then focusing on facial expressions, it can be quite difficult for sort of some people with autism, and understanding it can be quite difficult. I don't necessarily have this problem. Well, I say that I'm not the best at reading people, like I've said, but it is an issue. Next question. So, do you ever offend anyone? Oh my god, all the time! Question 6. What about relationships? Are they hard? Yeah, they're hard. So I say that it's somehow been quite an easy ride in uni. I'm going to admit, I've sort of had a nice time making friendships, and I've found a lot of common ground with a lot of people. But that's probably because we're all studying architecture. We're all there for one reason, because it's our passion, and that's how I've sort of made a lot of friends. And it was a big self-esteem and confidence issue. And now I could talk about the root of this for ages, but I've sort of struggled with self-esteem and confidence for a long time. And I sort of went to uni and I said to myself, you know what, I'm going to be myself, I'm going to fake confidence, and that's how sort of relationships, well, I've made plenty. I'm friends with quite a few people, I have a good circle of people, and yeah, so, I don't know, hard, I wouldn't say that they're necessarily hard, but I can understand why they're difficult for some people with autism, because some people might not understand the aforementioned social cues, so that might make things sort of slightly difficult for some people, I suppose. Next, do you get sensory overload? As a child, I used to quite a bit, because like I said, the world's this big, strange place that I didn't understand at all. So when too much was going on, kind of thing, it would overload me, kind of thing. There'd be too much that I'd be trying to understand and sort of look at and go through and process and understand. You know, I was trying to learn how the big bad world worked, and I suppose that led to a lot of overload, and it still can for a lot of people with autism. A lot of people with autism still really struggle to sort of understand the world. And I mean, I still find a few things difficult. You know, I'd have to have a few minutes to think about what I find difficult, because to be honest, it's all just minor as well. I don't know. It's difficult to describe, because even I don't understand me, to be honest with you. I don't understand me at all. But, you know, I'm just trying to tell you guys how I see these questions and how I might respond to them, as a sort of means of sort of explaining autism and explaining Asperger's, I suppose, and explaining myself, even though I don't need to explain myself. You get what I mean. What does sensory overload feel like? God, I haven't felt it in a while, but from what I remember, it's sort of everything seems too much. You know, I'm going to try and draw parallels. You know when, right, picture this. So, say it's 3 AM in the morning, and you're sort of working on a design project, and it's like a big design project, right? Sort of 10-week long. Let's say creative shelter, but urban stage, but on steads. Architecture lot will get that. So imagine you're working on that, you've just finished it, you got this really good design, and then you're told with 3 hours to go to the crypt, that design just is forbidden. You can't use that design, you have to start from scratch. Like, absolutely have to start from scratch, no loopholes. Now, imagine the feeling you feel then. Impending doom, you feel like, how am I going to get all of this done? I have to do my site analysis, my precedents, my concepts, my models. That's think of that, but compare it to, well, light is too bright, it's too noisy, it's too loud, like I said, you know, all these feelings, all these smells, all my senses are overloaded. And I suppose that's the best comparison I can draw, when everything just is too much, and you feel like, you know, everything's sort of closing in and crushing in on you. And it's, I suppose, the best parallel I can draw is anxiety, really, just sort of extreme anxiety. And it will often lead to what many know as meltdown, or just shutdown. And now I could spend hours explaining that, but that is essentially a response to everything getting too much. It's essentially, yeah, I don't even, it's hard to explain. It's very hard to explain. Do you need to stick to a routine? Right, thank you for asking this, aruma.com.au. Yes, I absolutely have to have a routine, and, you know, it's like, having the schedules for architecture has really helped and stuff. It's like, I know exactly what I'm doing on a Monday, on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday, on a Thursday, on a Friday, and I will do only that. And I will plan out my week, sort of weeks in advance, mentally. And I also write down checklists and stuff like that, and it's, you know, I'm very sort of particular about how I work through things in architecture, and I know, you know, life often doesn't work that way. There are often sort of obstacles and stuff like that. And I know once it was one week and it was Thursday and I was quite ill on Thursday, and I couldn't work, and that really sort of set me back, because I dedicate Thursdays to being in the studio all day and really getting design work down, at least in the case of first year, which is now nearly over. Oh my god. So yeah, that really sort of derailed me. So I really do like having that routine. I really like knowing exactly what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, and like the specific details. And yeah, that kind of thing. So I really need to stick to a routine personally, and a lot of people with autism will need to stick to it. What annoying questions do people ask you about autism? My god, where the hell do I start? So there are a lot of questions that people, and I don't really find the questions annoying, to be honest with you, because, you know, I'm all for educating people about it. That's why I'm making this video. And it's like, yeah, what annoying questions do people ask? Well, let's not say annoying. Let's rephrase this question. What do people ask the most about autism that sort of seems like an FAQ and seems, I don't know, I don't want to offend anyone. Like, I wouldn't call it annoying or anything. You know what, you guys know what I mean, I'm sure. So sometimes I've seen asked, would you ever want a cure? Now, to answer that question, no, never. You know, I see my Asperger's as an absolute advantage, you know. Anyone who's been in a building through time lecture with me will know that I know an irrational amount about modernism, and know that I never shut up about it. So, like, and I see that as a real advantage, having that knowledge, having that just knowledge right there, you know. I really like that, and it's that, having focused on that interest for so long, that is sort of, you know, that I have Asperger's to thank for. So no, I'd never cure it, and plus it makes me exactly who I am, and it's better the devil you know. I wouldn't want to know what I'd be like if I didn't have autism, and yeah, I really think it makes me who I am. So to sum that question up, yeah, I don't know, it's hard to answer the question, what annoying questions do people ask you about autism, and I've just realised this question is actually answered by someone else on the site. So I'm going to look at these questions. Were you born with it? Yeah, I was born with it. It's not something you can catch from vaccines or anything. Looking at you, anti-vaxxers. Yeah, you can't catch it from vaccines. We clear? Cool. Can you grow out of it? I think you can take that as a no. Can you just get better? Someone's going to die. Right, no, but let's actually discuss that question, because that kind of rolled me up. Can you just get better? No, what is it to get better from? Like, it's not an illness, we're just different, you know, for better or for worse, we're just different. And Autism Acceptance Week, to root back to that, is all about accepting it, you know. I think the statistics, something like 1 in 100 people in the United Kingdom have autism. That's 1%. That is 1%. That is 1 in 100 people. You meet over 100 people every day, you pass by over 100 people every day in the street on a normal day. So you sort of interact with autism day on day. So let's not look at curing it, let's not look at people getting better, because it's not something to get better from. It's something that can be amazing, you know. So no, I can't get better, and I do not want to get better. Next question. Do you like having autism? Like I said, I freaking love it. You know, it has its difficulties, yeah, and as a kid, you know, it could have been easier, let's just say, and I understand that for a lot of people it's quite severe, and, you know, obviously they wouldn't really want to well, then again, I'm not in their minds. I can't make their decisions for them, and I understand that it can cause a lot of pain and anguish. But yeah, in my case, in having Asperger's syndrome, yeah, love it. Absolutely love it. Right, this is the last question, oh my lord. What's one thing you want to say about people with autism? 4 words. We're just like you. No, that's ultimately it. We are just like you. We're people, we have thoughts, we have minds, we have ideas. We can bring a lot to the table, you know, and we just want to be part of this world. We might have a harder time understanding it, we might have a harder time interacting with the people in it, we might have a harder time sort of, you know, dealing with the challenges that may come with it. Like, if my routine's interrupted, I find it quite hard. But that's really what I want to say about people with autism. We're just like you. And I hope that I've been a living, breathing example of that over first year of uni. And, like, to everyone in the past as well. I don't know why I'm just saying uni. Probably because I'm here. So, and I'm very aware of how long this video's taken. So, yeah. Those are the questions I've answered. I hope that's cleared things up for you, and I hope that's sort of been an appropriate response to the idea of an Autism Acceptance Week. So, I am going to close the video off there, really. I hope I've done a good enough job of explaining things. I hopefully will get this out tonight. I'm just going to upload it, boom, get it out there, because initially I was sort of 50-50 about it, but the more I've gone on with recording this, I thought, yeah, I want to do this. So, thank you all very much for watching. I hope that was a good return to YouTube. I hope you guys don't mind the grown hair too much. And I will see you all in my next video, which will probably be a lot lighter. Thank you all very much. See ya.